right, everyone, we got Dick Beyer, the Destroyer, the legendary Destroyer. Just won a big award, PWI, the Stanley Weston Award. That was something given to him, a very prestigious honor. People that know Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the wrestling magazine, really started all the wrestling media in the nation, in the United States. Really good resource back in the day. Still going today, doing a lot of things. And this is the Destroyer. Hey, for those that don't know, the Destroyer, who's wrestled around the world, was also a standout football player. Hey, Dick, what about Syracuse University, and how did you end up at Syracuse?
I was recruited by a fellow by the name of Fred McNamara. He played at Syracuse, and he also boxed at Syracuse. And I was in Buffalo. I went to a Buffalo high school. I was on the all-Western New York team, or all-Buffalo team. And I was recruited by actually Idaho, believe it or not, because one of my high school football players who played with me at Syracuse in high school was out in Idaho, and he got the coach at Idaho to recruit me. I was recruited by my history teacher at Seneca High School by the name of, and he was a football player at Penn State. And I visited Penn State and really liked it down there. And then I went down to Syracuse with Fred McNamara, and I really liked Syracuse, and I went to Syracuse. And I don't know whether you recall my experience in Miami with football.
What did you do? Did you play in the Orange Bowl?
Yes.
My goodness, that was now, what years are we talking? Whereabouts are we talking year-wise? Because this was a while ago, right?
Oh, yes, 100 years ago. I was captain of the Syracuse team that played Alabama in the 1953 Orange Bowl game, and we got our ass really kicked.
Well, hey, what do you expect? You're a cold team up in New York coming down to sunny South Florida.
Yeah, well, you're right there. They scored on us first, and we come back and scored and missed the extra point, and that was the end of it, man. They just run all over us. But it was a great experience, and but I didn't know whether that's where you got my name from. But I did play at Syracuse, and I coached 9 years at Syracuse.
Well, you mentioned you had other college offers, and you ended up choosing Syracuse. Was it just one of those things where you ended up falling in love with it?
Well, it was a family type of thing. My dad worked at the Ford Motor Company, and he had a 1934 Ford.
That was your dad, right?
That's my dad. And my dad was a good athlete. He played a lot of baseball. But my dad had a car that, this is in the 50s, he had a 34 Ford. And I figured that my dad might want to see his son play college football, so Penn State was a little bit far to go by a 34 Ford, and Syracuse was just down the road a piece. So I went to Syracuse. I liked Ben Schwartzwalder at the time, but Ben didn't recruit me. He was recruited by the fellow that Ben replaced at Syracuse.
Well, did you also wrestle in college?
Yes, I'll tell you how I got into wrestling. My fraternity father, I belonged to a fraternity by the name of Phi Gamma Delta, and my fraternity father was captain of the wrestling team. And I used to go to watch the college wrestling a lot. In my sophomore year, I got pretty interested, and I asked Howie Tice, my fraternity father, how wrestling went. I was sitting in my fraternity house playing pinochle. We used to play pinochle for change, and we had some servicemen in the house that used to get a paycheck every month from the government, and I asked Howie Tice while I was playing pinochle, I says, Howie, how did practice go today? This was in the middle of December, when wrestling was the sport in the wintertime. And he said, we had a bad accident today. I said, what do you mean? He says, our heavyweight blew his knee out. I says, well, the heavyweight's my roommate, Bill Sky. He says, yeah, he blew his knee out. We need a heavyweight. I says, well, who's going to be your heavyweight? And he pointed his finger at me and he says, you. And that's exactly how I got into wrestling. We had a fraternity house that was fairly brand new, and they had carpeting all the way around. And we had 5 wrestlers in that house, that 2 from Oklahoma and 2 from Pennsylvania, and 1 from, and Howie Tice was from down in the Pennsylvania area near Penn State. And so I decided to go out for wrestling because of the fraternity brothers I had. And believe me, after that day was over that I pointed my finger at him and who was your heavyweight, they had me on the floor of the Phi Gam house, on carpeted floor for an hour, teaching me front face lock, a referee's position for the top and the bottom, and various positions. The next day I was out for wrestling, and my other roommate was a fellow from Enzo Marinelli, and he was from down in Jersey, Pennsylvania area, and he was a very good, he was about my size. We both played football. I was 5'10", 210 pounds, and from then, I went out for wrestling, and they annihilated me for about an hour in a fraternity house on a brand new rug. They rubbed my nose; it was all red.
You had your own Stu Hart dungeon initiation.
Pardon?
You had your own Stu Hart dungeon initiation.
How did you know Stu Hart?
It's I know about reading about the famous Hart dungeon and what they would put them through for anyone that wanted to pro wrestle. Sounds like you had your own college version of that.
Are you from Canada?
No, I'm not actually. Just from a lot of what I've read and all. That's how I am familiar with Stu Hart in the dungeon.
I never got in the dungeon, but I knew all their brothers, and I wrestled a lot of them. And I never worked for Stu Hart, but I worked in Canada. I worked in Toronto and
Yeah, that was the AWA.
Right.
Well, the thing is, did you have thoughts about trying to play pro football?
Yes, I did. I was looked at at the time by the Cleveland Browns and Buffalo, and I went to Buffalo's football promoter, and they says you're too small. I was 5'10", 210, and when you look at the pro football players today, they're 6'5", 6'6", 300 pounds.
But back then, so then what turned you from pro football? Because of that, you didn't get a chance to compete then in pro football, but you actually got involved in professional wrestling.